Peace and blessings. Namaste to all light warriors, workers, and everything in between. It is I, Sophie, today, and I'm very, very happy. And I know you're going to say what's making you so happy, and it's because it's been the first time in a minute I was able to work from home. And what that means to me is not having to get up at the butt crack of dawn. Okay? I know some of you, you like to get up at 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning when it's still dark outside. And that's how you start your mornings. And it's a-okay with me. But I'm not that being. My mind does not process it in that manner, okay? My mind processes the morning with the Raisin Bran sun. So, in other words, if I get up in the morning, but it's still dark outside, to me it's still last night. It is still last night, and that's just what it is. But today, when I get the chance to work from home, I kind of set my own pace, okay? And, I'm working in and out throughout the day to get things done, right? But that's not what we're here for, guys. We are here for because this is post-eclipse updates, okay? Some of the things that we should be understanding during this time and preparing for. Some of them are very harrowing. Okay, I will tell you that. But first of all, let's do this. Okay, so up until the eclipse, right? Many of you was going through some type of cleansing. Okay, whether it was a fast, whether it was a purge, whether it was just meditation. Well, I mean, however you were led to do whatever it was that you were led to do, you were doing it. Okay, and you were in some type of preparation. And even if it was prayers, everybody has their own beautiful way of expressing, their divinity. So congratulations for those of you who have done that. And then after, the eclipse, and even up into it before the eclipse came and a little bit afterwards, because I did see that there was some that had lag, okay? But you were starting to notice that people were falling away from your reality, or you are being called to separate yourself, okay? Or you have had people that have been a part of your life for a very long time, and then you're realizing where the closeness went. Where did the bonds go? Why all of a sudden they just disappeared? And maybe this has happened to you and you have people that was in your life for a very long time and you just don't feel that connection anymore, okay? Understand there's nothing wrong with that, okay? There's nothing wrong with your placement. It's not that, all the time you're doing something right and somebody else is doing something wrong. It's just that there's different realities and different timelines based off your train of thought, okay? And some people who may not even done anything to you or you've done anything to them, they're disappearing out your reality too, okay? And it's for a specific reason, okay? Because we are starting to attract our soul families and our soul tribes based on the missions that we have to do. So it's kind of like, becoming mission based now. So you will discover that there are people that, wanted to disconnect completely, and they're going on their little track, their own little path, their own little journey, and maybe that's about creating something. And then there's another group, that maybe want to start monitoring the skies. And then you have some that want to go on fitness journeys, and they're going to track those as well, And then you have those that are here to, destroy. All right. And don't look at destruction as such a negative thing, because sometimes things have to be destroyed so the new things come in. Okay. So, when they do say order out of chaos, what they're really saying is, transition isn't easy. It's just not easy. And for people who, especially if you don't like change, okay, you ever work for an organization, being very, very, very successful, or working for yourself, being very, very successful, and all of a sudden the law comes, that you can't do that anymore, and it becomes a protest, and everybody's helter-skelter, things of that nature. It's never really easy to transition, okay? The only time that it's easy to transition is with some beings, and that's because these beings have the ability to practice detachment. So they're not actually going to be stuck on anything anyway, okay? They just kind of go with the flow. And these become the leaders to get everybody else adjusted to the newness, all right? So it typically will hit beings like us first. Now, I want to say this also. If it is the case that you have disconnected from beings that, or people, or situations, or organizations because they were not supporting your higher good, Okay, they were not supporting your ascended journey, or they had negative attachments, dark entities, the demonic entities, where some love to say narcissists and things of that nature. I call it exactly what it is, right? I understand the psychology behind why we use certain terms, because everybody's not a spiritual person and everybody isn't on a religious path. So we have scientific explanations for certain things, right? I talk to the spirit man. So I'm going to use the spiritual aspect, even though I identify with all of it. Okay, so just so you know. And because I deal with majority of an audience that came from a religious background, is including myself, for years and years and years. You're talking about 30 plus, right? Um, it's easier for me to relate to the audiences that have been relatable with me throughout my journey. It's just easier. Okay, so I'm going to say they have dark or demonic attachments. Okay, now this is due to the fact that you can see certain characteristics of these people, and a lot of them don't even recognize it. Okay, they don't even recognize it. They don't recognize the lack of empathy. They don't recognize the pride. They don't recognize the refusal to take accountability. They can speak it to others, but they won't do it themselves, but they think they are. Okay, it's a very interesting dynamic to watch. It really is. But anyway, if you have noticed that disconnection, okay, and you have noticed that you have separated yourself from friend groups, from family groups, from even personal relationships with people that you have loved, watch the characteristics of the people that you have disconnected from. All right. Are they trying to force themselves back into your lives? All right. Are you being scapegoated to take them back? Okay. Are you constantly being bombarded with feeling the need to have to address a situation? This is one of your last tests. Okay. Pay attention to me when I say this, because you are being tested. Certain institutions and things of that nature are of course, you're going to watch them be destroyed from the inside out, but there is some that is still going to stand for a little bit longer, and it's because it's necessary for the weaning and purging process. Okay, so if you find yourself constantly having to address something, okay, constantly having to acknowledge it, you're still giving it power. It will never go away. Once you have left a reality, you cannot no longer acknowledge the old reality. Every time that you do that, you bring that old reality into your new reality, unaware. Okay, you think you're training. You think you're educating this person and giving them a mirror of their own behavior and showing a reflection. They do not see it. All right. When a narcissist, when a demon is being hit with the reality of self, the first thing that it typically does is reflected or projected back to you. Okay, it never acknowledges it, right? So once the reflection comes back to you, now you're finding yourself on the defense again. Thus, you're keeping this cord going back and forth, even though you can't stand it. They have an ability to affect your emotions, and the fact that you got to constantly feel like you need to address it. Okay, but what does it say in our scriptures to do? Okay, now those of you who are Bible thumpers, how are we going to want to connect that to some words of the Bible? Remember that it always said, resist the devil and it will flee from you. The best way to ever handle this people, okay, or these type of people, is to no longer acknowledge its existence. Okay, therefore, it really does separate from your reality. When people start to experience cross dimensions, or some old things and bad habits still creeping into your reality, there's a window or a door still open there. Okay, you have to close it. There is nothing like, in other words, let's put it this way. You don't have to educate somebody on their behavior. You've done that the first time, especially if you're a fire breathing dragon. Okay, now you can handle this in two ways. I am a fire breathing dragon. Okay, but there are others who don't do it that way. There's others that use a sword of truth. Okay, and they'll bring things in attention in their own way. But we who are fire breathing dragons, the only way we are to destroy It's with the word, with our words. Okay, the conviction. Once we pull back, the job is already in progress. I don't ever have to speak to you again. Do you understand? I don't ever have to acknowledge your existence anymore. The seed that I just planted, the purging that I just did, will now work itself. So that person will continue to be under that influence until it starts to change. Okay? Number two, if somebody is telling you that they've changed their ways, all right, you have to pay attention to how they are addressing you. There's going to be, during this time, a lot of people trying really hard to get back into your reality. And it's not because they genuinely love you, it's out of fear of being without you. Do you understand? And you have to know and understand the difference between the two. Some people will still come in, they'll just get pulled back, give distance enough for you to get over it, and then come back and asking you to do something for them again. Do not acknowledge it. If somebody did any ill will towards you, you know, the first thing and the only thing that they need to be saying to you before even speaking up is that apology and that acknowledgement. Other than that, don't feed into it. All right? If they do that, you can now make the decision on whether or not you even feel like entertaining it. And most times you can entertain it, wish it on their wish them well, and still keep moving on your reality. Because I guarantee you, up until the point where you were being bashed, you know, gossiped against, backstabbed, betrayed, they didn't think that they would ever need you. And they never thought that karma would hit. They never paid attention to the things that, you know, what they put out, they have to come back to you, right? So now they're in that vein of trying to figure out how to escape a karma that they can't escape. They realize that the way to ease this, or to try to, is to get clinked back up with you, but they'll never acknowledge what they did to you. Therefore, there's not a lesson that has been learned. All right. So if they have not learned the lesson, what do you think is going to happen if you continue to let them back in your life? Okay. Uh, there are some that may be strong enough, you know, to help transmute the energy of the lesson, so to speak. But for a majority of people, the lesson always brings them backwards. Okay. Also pay attention to the people that see you actually ascending, growing spiritually, you know, getting your downloads, your powers, your gifts, increasing and becoming who you are, and trying to hold on to your coattails because they didn't do the work themselves. These are they who are trying to get a free ride. Okay? I'm giving you this warning because things are about to get really thick, right? Nothing for you to worry about. Do you understand? Okay, because you've already done the work. You've already been acknowledged. Okay, so it's like I said, you're going to experience a lot of things through witnessing, but not through firsthand accounts. Okay, especially if you've already done that. So when we're sitting back and we're watching the world and we're going, holy crap. But every day you're just getting up, living your everyday life, you know, going to work or working from home or doing your business or channeling your creativity. Oh, by the way, let me give you a little side journey. So this new, you know, organization that I have been with, 8 people quit already. All right. And being replaced with new people, just like myself. Okay. I told you, a lot of us are here to destroy something from the inside out. All right. Now, you want to keep the momentum going in whatever area that you have been placed in at this time. It's not necessary for you, if you already know who you are, to try to always bump up against the grain. Sometimes you're going to take on assignments that you necessarily don't want to do. Okay. I already had a plan of action that I'm going to retire in another country. But until I finish the work that I'm doing, I'm going to be here. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that this is the best of worlds right now, but it's so necessary because I'm actually seeing the fruit of my labor. All right. If the case was that there was nothing behind it, then yeah, I can run like everybody else. but I cannot run. And some of you cannot run either. But you're going to know. You're going to know. Nobody can tell you that. Okay? That's going to be something that's going to, manifest in itself. The opportunities are just going to open in itself for you to be able to do what it is that you need to do. But important in the season where a lot of exposure is coming out, where a lot of truths are being revealed, sometimes you have to operate in secret as well. Okay? Um, my grandmother used to say this to me a long time ago. Never let your right hand know what your left hand is doing. I never understood that phrase. And I used to say that all the time. And I'm like, how can that happen? That part of my body. And typically it takes two hands to do something. I still don't get it, but I do get it. Okay, it's just like that phrase, you want your cake and eat it too. And I never really understood that because I figured that if it's my cake, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay, so there's some phrases that you're going to be out. I'm one that has to process the information and make it make sense before I just start spurting things, spewing it out. So it can be popular, but I always think for myself, what does this mean? That it doesn't make sense to me. So if it don't make sense to me, I'm not going to use it. But during this time, you need to go ahead and understand when it's time to keep plans to yourself, opportunities to yourself, okay? Watch out for frenemies, all right? Watch out for faulty alliances, okay? Put people to the test. Don't be afraid to do that. And if you find something, your intuition points out something, cut it off completely. If somebody's going to come back into your life, they need to come back as a new creature. Okay? And even during that time, you're still going to take your time and process this before just opening. Okay? A lot of us, especially if you consider yourself a divine feminine, we have found our countenance changing. Right? Don't be ashamed of that. That is part of the feminine nature. Okay? Remember, a divine feminine can go as low or be as destructive as Kali to as high as Sophia, right? Or even that, what's the other? Parvati. Okay? We could be beautiful, we could be elegant, we could be loving, we're encompassing unconditional love, right? But understand, with any feminine nature, with love comes a natural ability to protect that of which it loves. And there's different ways of protecting. Everything does not have to be violent. Everything does not have to be warlike. Everything does not have to be an attack, okay, or defense. Sometimes the ultimate correction is just withdrawing your energy and sitting back and allow the laws of reciprocity to just handle its business and not intervening. Sometimes it's a matter of just pulling those who you love out of harm's way. Right? And we do this naturally because we are the nurturers. Okay? Did you just think that we're all supposed to be meek and mild? Is that faulty teaching is the one that went out all over the world? So now when you recognize the divine feminine in her negative trait or her dark aspect, she can't be who she is. Are you kidding me? Okay? You're a mother yourself. How do you act? All right? The feminine aspect is creation, is protection, is nurturing, is loving, and is also chaotic when it needs to be to evoke change. All right? So you're going to experience all of that. It's not the fact that it's that you have it in you, is what you do with it when it comes. Okay? Trust me, I am one of those mothers. I am one of those that will put her life on the line for her children. Okay? However, I'm also one of those that will let my child or my children roam free. I'm not going to chase them. I'm not going to chase them down. I'm going to let life teach them. And if they come back as a prodigal child, the prodigal son, I'm going to welcome them. But I won't be taken advantage of. And neither should you, so stand your ground. It's time to stand your ground. Okay? Stop entertaining it. Stop entertaining it. In order for it to be removed from your reality, you have to act like it's not there. You can't make it a part, excuse me, you cannot make it a part of your reality and then want it gone from your reality. Do you understand? There's a conflict of interest there. Okay? Something cannot bother you if it no longer exists. Okay? So make that a priority too. It no longer exists. All right? Now, I realize that many of us do a lot of astral travel, right? Or interdimensional traveling. And there's basic teachings that tend to go out throughout the world. And they make sense, okay? They make sense to humanity because they're supposed to make sense to humanity. The elevation of consciousness only comes with the rebirth, with the renewal. So, the complexities of what happens behind the scenes, some of them I still have to write about because this is not the platform to share that. I'm just going to be honest. It's not the platform to share that. I have too many mixed people here. And not that they could do anything with the information. It's just that they could not comprehend the information. They're not ready yet. Okay? So there's going to be teachings out there that really, really, really make sense. Okay? And it's designed that way. Okay, because like I said, or what I was going to say, there's a nature that's way more complex than what it is. So we're going to give you the basis of it. Shadow beings, light beings, even beings that you may see come in and out of materialization. It's important for you to know that one class, well, being as though they're presenting themselves in different ways, like shadow beings, light beings, does not mean that shadow beings are dark or evil and light beings are good. Okay? That's not how we are operating in that way. The energy will manifest according to the plane of existence that it is in. Okay, and as they start to grow throughout these planes of existence, you will see the transformation. So meaning, just because you see a shadow being does not mean it's already or bound to the dark side. It may be in its beginning phases of its elevation. Okay, and still could work for you. This is why discernment is very, very important. If you do not have the ability to track energetic signatures, it's going to be difficult for you to make a decision on things. So we would rather people would just think that way. All right, it keeps them protected because they don't discern what is negative. So if you are saying, okay, well, this doesn't mean that this is negative, then you might actually start bringing and allowing negative entities in. Okay. Another thing that's going to be exposed in the future, there's a lot of teachings, that are still going out that are exposing older teachings, that are exposing older eras. Okay. It is so much easier for the elves who have done the damage to reinvent themselves than it is to say, I'm sorry, admit it was them, and then create something from it. We wouldn't trust them. Okay, so let's put it like this. If you knew that there was, an L that came on the earth and did a whole bunch of destruction, right? And tore things up or just did not do things right. Because once again, we have to acknowledge that humanity is not the only one with free will. All right, there are elves who have had it. Everybody had in the universe, hence why they fell. Okay, now if it wasn't the case that angels didn't have free will, then we wouldn't have a lot of chaos. Do you understand? Like sometimes you have to get out of the Bible and religious mind and just look at things with common sense. Okay, the Most High, the Creator, everybody will always validate what it is that they're saying when it becomes a truth. If they have no way of validating, then once again, you're dealing with conjecture. All right. It sounds right in theory. It sounds great in philosophy, but it does not hold weight. Okay. To get somebody to actually want to transform their life. Nobody lives forever thinking that Santa Claus exists or is coming down your chimney and giving you gifts. At some point in time, you learn that this was fun. This was fun while it lasted. We had a little understanding, it made us look forward to Christmas, but now we're adults. So it's time to adult. There's things that you're going to be exposed to, okay? And as I was saying, the L may have come down here and screwed everything up, right? On a redemptive path and waiting to, or trying to go back through its ascension by purifying their lives. Now, not all elves are going to purify their light. Some are still going to be bound to this earth because they don't want to ascend, okay? Or they just want to be rebellious, or they don't agree with things. We get it, okay? We get it. And we're not here to force anybody to do anything. But it would be easier for humanity, okay? It would be easier for humanity to process the possibility that L is no longer around. A new L came to save the day. Let he who has wisdom understand what I just said. Okay? Thank you. So, therefore, we can reinvent and reinvent and reinvent. Okay? And so you're carrying that they want to you want to deal with a different name? Fine. But the energy is the same. Okay? So there's a way that we teach humanity so that we can force them to grow and understand versus a way that we are being taught. Things that are being exposed to those who have the mind of Christ, who have the mind of the creator of all. Okay? There's certain secrets that you're going to be trusted with. And everybody cannot go with you, because if it caused a stumbling block, if it caused confusion in humanity, they may go in the opposite way. And believe it or not, teaching in levels like that are still signature traits of the Good Shepherd. Okay? We don't want to rush anything in. Now, rather not you agree with the tactics, hey, it's just a learning curve. You know, there's some things that I would go, wait a minute, do we really have to do it that way? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, I don't think we did. And we're like, okay, well, you know, come up with something better. Don't think that you can't do that, guys. Do not think that you can't talk to, you know, the creator and the elves, and, well, you know, depending on who you are, and say, I got a better idea than this. I think this would work. I think this is what will happen. Have the council sit around and listen to you, you know, and either they'll agree with you or they won't agree with you. But never neglect your own power. Okay, I sit in deep meditations and talk to the family a lot of times, you know, about what should be done and what could be done. Speaking of which, I'm so glad we're getting to the point where our government systems, that two-party system, you're going to see go. You're also going to see that go too, in favor of councils. It has not worked for us. So, now, with that being said, here's another secret that I'm going to disclose to you. And you have to be woke. You have to look around. You can't just look at the things that are being promoted to you on social media. You have to feel the energy around you, and you have to use your firsthand experiences of what the things that you are seeing and doing, right? And witnessing, and what is being done. These things are very important on your journey. We're getting ready to get rid of a lot of these systems, okay? Very, very good. It was necessary, okay? We're going to implement some things that are absolutely new and necessary as well. When it comes down to humanity as a whole, and even our religious systems, okay? Some beings, certain beings, I'm one of those, okay? I have a double seal. I still have not figured out the mystery of that. Okay, but I do have one. You know, I have one on the forehead, like the majority of people. I ain't even gonna say majority of people. Majority of the spiritual people. Okay. But I also have one on my chest. That's like a red sigil. Okay, so I'm double sealed. Okay. Now, what I mean by I'm double sealed is because of the nature of who I am. Okay, I'm not saying that everybody has to be double sealed. I'm not saying that everybody has the opportunity to deal with what you would consider demons and angels and still be protected and guided because you're sitting in the balance as my aunt. Okay, but that is a gift that I was given. So I have a double seal. I'm protected by both. All right. Now, when it comes down to the religions on this earth, some of our jobs were to infiltrate these religions, okay, to understand them, to learn them, to look at the errors of it, and we had to make decisions based on its effect on mankind. All right, so in other words, Were the spirit religious systems elevating the consciousness of its practitioners, or was it taking it backwards? Okay. And once we had to go through these systems to see how it was really affecting the consciousness of humans, their elevation, their logic, their reasoning, their righteousness, things of that nature, what we had to find out was what areas, who was teaching it, okay, and what the effect was. We had to withdraw or remove that which did not serve the higher purpose, okay, and we would keep the tenets that were still working. Hence, nobody was going around anymore forcing anybody to believe a certain way. That did happen in the past, and it caused a lot of confusion and a lot of wrongful deaths. Do you understand? So when we say that we are now going by the intentions of the heart, this is what we mean: the righteous heart, the thinking. Okay, so people were still given freedom to, operate in whatever system that they thought worked best for them, as long as it led them to the totality of the matter. Okay, all the way up. Okay, to understand that they didn't have to go through deities, they didn't have to go through angels, they didn't have to go through idols and things of that nature. They didn't have to. All right, but the deities or the that created these religious systems are now responsible for teaching humanity how to get to the totality of the matter. Okay, so they're doing it through various religious systems. So you're going to see that split in everything. Okay, the righteous will still be righteous. Okay, those who are sealed will be sealed, but it's not going to just come from one religion. It's going to come from many. Okay, many practices. Even those who do not have a religion, even those that may walk a shamanic path, or that type of more spiritual path. What it is that they do with their gifts, how they are thinking, what the intentions are, and how they're living will be the catalyst on whether or not they will be considered a wheat or a tare during the separation feast. So don't think that you're safe because you practice something. Okay, do not think that you're automatically there and that you've already made it because you're following certain laws and tenets. But what does your heart look like? How are you treating people? What is the intention of this? All right, so there's some people that's going to live by laws the entirety of their life because they want a goal to be wealthy. Is that the correct intention? Okay, so don't be fooled. Discern your way through all of this. All right, so we go through these religious systems. We went through these spiritual systems. We pulled out those who are righteous. Okay, they have been set apart. Okay, and that set apart, once again, is cross-culturally. It's no longer just with Israel. Okay, and the way that they tried to make it. All of that there's a higher level to all of this. We have them on the lower levels, but it's a way bigger pictures than all of that. All right, so you need to understand that. After we go through that phase and then we separate, then those who have been called and set apart immediately goes into the vein of creating, co-creating, okay, and assisting in the new is what we like to call it, right? So they're automatically that the mindset changes. They become a new creature. They incorporate their higher self. The thinking of the old is now gone, and the focus is to build something better. The foundation of the old still lays because it is a foundation. So what you're only doing is starting to build upon it and do what I just said. You tweak the things that are no longer, serving us. All right, as a collective, as a people. Right, so this goes way hard. There's way stronger than the practices. Okay, and you will see them. You will see people out there that want to look the part. They turn their nose up to people who just want to be themselves. Okay, I don't want to sit around with head wraps all day. My hair didn't grow this long and this healthy by keeping it covered up. My hair grew this long and this healthy because I keep it open to the sun. Okay, do you understand? But because I don't wear head wraps like a lot of my ancestors, I might not even look the part to them because I don't have to because I choose not to wear long dresses and things of that nature, or eat a certain way or do a certain thing. all of that mindset goes once you've elevated out of it. There was a time that I did go through that though, okay? And I felt righteous while I was doing it, and it did help me with my ascension journey. But once the mind is renewed and the spirit is renewed, that's all that matters then. All right? Because now you're more focusing on being and doing the work. So we see them talking down to others, pointing fingers at others that they're not doing this or they're not doing that. It might not be there for them to do. You do you. Okay? That's all you got to do. I think the world would be a much better place if people just learn to mind their business. And I get a lot of slack because I'm one of the ones that's willing to call it out. Okay? I'm not concerned about losing people anymore. When it came down to, becoming this new creature, there was already a level of detachment that I was already practicing. How much stronger do you think this cutoff game is now? My mind, my eye is single. All right? I love who I love. And I don't I pretty much love everybody. I don't even think I have any enemies, to be honest. I do have people that have made enemies out of me, but I don't have any enemies. I don't have anybody that I hate or dislike. I just know what fits in my life and what does not. And from my standpoint, everybody can do well. Okay? Everybody will evolve in their own time. Everybody will come to certain levels of understanding at their own time. All right? So don't force anybody to believe anything. Just go ahead and force them to think for themselves. And that's the best results that you can get. All right. So we go through these practices. We go through everything that went on the earth. It was prophesied to you anyway that we was going to judge the angels. So we already know that this was the time that we had to go back all the way in the past, come all the way forefront. Okay. And some of you are doing it through, memories. Some of you are doing it through downloads, and some of you are doing it through reading. Okay. We get it. Okay. But if you are called to go backwards, all the way backwards to come back forward, then you're going to be drawn to a lot of antiquity and ancient knowledge. And chances are because you are an ancient being. So you're going to assess humanity through its beginnings all the way into now and figure out the areas that we went wrong and the areas that we got right. And now that you have turned into that new creature and you're living in this space, you're rebuilding it. You're tearing down old structures. You're building new ones. You're looking at its effect. You're doing analysis. I remember telling and sharing with everybody in my old videos that at night I used to travel and be writing on this giant white chalkboard, this complex algorithms. Like I was creating algorithms there. I mean, math that I've never seen before in my life. And here on this earth, I don't even know how to process fractions. Sometimes I don't even know what type of tip, the exact amount of tip to give, when I'm at a restaurant. So, here's $10. Here's $5, something like that. Here's $15, whatever it is, because I don't calculate it. But in another reality that I often travel to, I'm writing. I'm putting together this math. Predictive programming is different on higher realms than what it is here. So when we talk about predictive programming here, on the material realm, we're talking about things like The Simpsons. We're talking about things that is trying to train your thought to think certain ways, okay? So that you can lead a flock of sheep in the direction that you want it to go. When we're talking about predictive programming and higher levels of realms, what we're doing is building analysis based off of past human behavior, right? Just to see, what choices they could possibly make when presented something. Okay, and you do that based off the way that they thought from the beginning of time up until this time. And so now we're trying very hard to cover all types of areas so that we can still keep them on the righteous path so they won't destroy the earth and join with elves who also want to destroy the earth under false pretenses that if they join along with these elves, that want to destroy the earth, that they some kind of way is going to be saved. And that's furthest from the truth, but it's cute. Those who are dealing with CERN and opening portals, they have no idea what's coming. None. None. But the thing is, I do. And others like myself really do. But like I said, this is not the platform for that. Okay, it will be in the book, but and it's obvious. Okay, when we say the things or the signs are all around you, it is really all around you. You just have to develop the keen sense of sight. Right? Sight. What eyes are you using? What ears are you using? What tongue are you speaking from? All right? You have to stay tuned. I don't want to make this video so long because right now I'm supposed to be at lunch. And then I have to go back to a little meeting, a little Zoom meeting. But I'm here to tell you, things are not what they seem. If you've been called to disconnect, disconnect completely or don't disconnect at all. Okay? If you have a problem with being pulled back into that reality, just go to that reality. You're not ready yet. Okay? If you have people coming back into your life that is, coming back out of the blue, who hadn't said word to you in years and years and years, haven't even thought about you, haven't even cared about you, it's only because they see you winning now. Okay? Be careful of those trying to hang on to your coattails to transition without doing the work. No, no. Also, be careful of people coming back into your life that can't even acknowledge the reason why they left it and still wanting things from you and not giving anything. No. Be careful of what you are allowing back into your reality that does not belong there. Leave it where it stands. Be careful of people trying to identify you and put labels on you based off of their understanding when they haven't even evolved yet. Leave it where it stands. Okay? Be more aware of what you are attracting into your life. Put out more love. Okay? Start creating when you are called to. Stop being fearful. Let no man judge you. And get the things done that you need to get done. And do it with flair, class, and style. Don't be afraid to be yourself. You don't have to look apart to please anybody. Chances are they're not worth pleasing. Understand that your higher self has already contracted into a union and is going to integrate into your vessel to live out that. Okay? So that's what you should be pleasing right now. Okay? If you have been called to practice a certain level of detachment, trust me, things are not going to bother you. I was a very sensitive child, especially from the parts that I can remember, because that's slowly being erased and it's really weird. But I know that I was a sensitive child because there's certain movies, and my family used to talk about it all the time. Like I couldn't even watch Garfield or SPCA commercials. I would just bust out crying. I was so emotional. Everything bothered me, right? But the one thing I never cried over is a breakup or somebody leaving my life. I thought that was odd. I thought something was wrong with me. I would watch women and men cry over their relationships a long time ago. I would grieve, but I would never cry. I would go through a time of reflection. As a Scorpio, I pull back, readjust, realign, regroup, and then come forward. Remember, it's part of my nature. Ruled by planet, and some of Pluto, some of Mars, right? Destruction and rebirth. That's what I bring to the table. And that's what I'll continue to do. If it gets everybody on, happy, ascending. If it gets to remove the negativity, rebirth, destruction, and rebirth. So being as though that's part of my nature, all we do is sit back and watch and heal and move forward. Let nothing stop you. Let nothing stop you. And the only reason why I recognize it is not weird now is because I recognize that my existence is mission-based. So there are some things that I really can't get that attached to. Doesn't mean I love anybody any more or any less. It means that I just understand seasons and when time is up and what lessons were supposed to be learned for the greater good. That's it. So I'm going to get up out of here now. I miss talking to you guys, but I am Sophie, and I love you all. And I am getting back to my animation because after this crunch season is going, everybody's going to move around a little bit. I'm looking forward to that. And it's going to put a lot more time on my hands to get back to the things that I love doing. So I love you guys. Bye.